Do you know what a healthy relationship really looks like? Hey, Jason here. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And if you've been watching the channel, you know I've been talking about success, what it is, and how to get it in three areas that I focus on: happiness, health, and wealth. And I've been showing you around Johannesburg, South Africa, showing you how beautiful a place it is, and just encouraging you also to just travel more. Like, let's start getting out of the stuff that we know and start traveling to other areas because it's not really as dangerous as people make it seem. And so let's really get into today's topic on, do you know what a healthy relationship is? And the reason why I came up with this topic today is because as I was doing a lot of different media content around different platforms, I kept seeing some of the same stuff coming up over and over and over again. And and just in case if you're not familiar, each platform has its own algorithm set towards men, women, and then it breaks it down into age demographics. And then if you're single or married, stuff like that. So because I understand that, I was realizing, okay, this is the algorithm for men within this age range, and I saw it crossed over every border, not border, I mean ethnicity. Meaning, I saw it from people in South Africa, I saw it from Afrikaans, I saw it from Black and white Americans, and I saw it from people in Spanish-speaking countries also. And so it was like, okay, this is a common theme, and I saw it from a male perspective and a woman perspective on both sides, across the borders. And so it was interesting because a lot of them were stating what they want. However, they were stating it to me just in an incorrect way. And because they were stating it in an incorrect way, it was bringing up images of what we think words mean and not really understanding what those words mean. And so I'm gonna break that down as this video go. And so remember, I'm coming from the perspective of a guy who was married for 10 years, and I lived out my vows, meaning till death did us part. January of last year, my wife passed away in her sleep, and we was happily married, and what I like to believe as a successful marriage that we were living and continuing to grow. And if you haven't been watching the channel, the definition of success is the progressive realization of a worthy idea. And the key word there is progressive, meaning continuous or daily. And so that was something that we did, Cece and I did on a daily basis. We had, I had my study time, she had her study time, and then we had a marriage study time too. And because we spent all our time together, because we sold all our stuff, quit our jobs, and started living abroad, the marriage was the bigger chunk of our identities. And then I had maybe an hour or two of Jason time. She had her time where she would go watch Grey's Anatomy or do things that she really liked doing. But majority of the bulk of that time was the marriage. And so because of that, that's why I really feel I have a very unique perspective on what it means to have a healthy relationship, because we literally was building the marriage more than we were building ourselves as individuals. And so one of the things and this is the thing that I think most people are getting wrong, is they're trying to label relationships based off physical gender, and that's not a correct analysis. Yes, male, female, whatever, but I'm talking about masculine and feminine energy. We're energetic beings. We have to understand it from an energy level and get away from the physical level. And so because of that, we have to start understanding we have to assign the energetic roles of our household, of our relationship. And most people think that means the woman have to cook, the man's supposed to go work all day and just bring home the money. No, that is not what that means. And that's one of the biggest problems with most relationships now. People are trying to assign physical gender roles for a relationship when it has to be spiritual. It has to be the energetic roles that you have to define. And the thing about it is, like, most people know that I'm a dominant personality type, strong alpha type male, very opinionated, brash. This is my mindset type person. However, most people always thought in my relationship with CC that I was the breadwinner. I had all the smarts. I was the smartest, and that wasn't true. There was things with business she was way better than me. Like, she was way better at managing money than me. So she took care of all that. It may have made it look like, oh man, Jason got his shit together, but it was because she was taking care of all of that. And that's what a lot of people don't get. she was taking on a lot of that masculine energy around the money and the finances. I took on most of the feminine energy around the cooking. And then when we both got tired of dedicating energy to cleaning, we started hiring maids. So, like, that's what it means to have to actually assign, masculine and feminine roles to the relationship. It's an energetic level. What is each person's strong suit? Because just because one guy's a guy, a man is a man, doesn't mean he's better at managing money than a woman. She may have had a family that had way better money understanding than him. So, like, we have to get away from the physical. Just because guys are born with a penis does not make them more successful than women. It doesn't make them smarter in money than women. Just because women are born with ovaries doesn't mean they know how to cook and clean. There are plenty of women that don't know how to cook and clean, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of guys who don't know how to cook or clean. I remember seeing a buddy of mine trying to cook on YouTube one day. He was cooking corn and he didn't boil it. And I was just like, and he was like, man, it's kind of crunchy. I'm like, yeah, you didn't cook it, dude. And so, like, we have to really step away from what the world has told us. Like, oh, you're a man, you're supposed to do this. You're a woman, you're supposed to act this way. We have to stop that shit. We live in the year 2023. We have to get away from this 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. All of these old folks that's telling us, oh, this is what you should be doing. And they ain't successful in life. And most of them don't even have successful relationships or even seen what a successful relationship look like. So why are we still following that advice? Start assigning the gender at an energetic level. What are your strong suits? This is where it takes something that most couples don't do. You have to sit down and have a conversation and be real with each other. Like, you have to get away from this honeymoon phase. You have to get away from the sex. You have to get away from this puppy love bullshit. You have to get to real life. What do you want your relationship to look like? You have to define your relationship. How much money do you want to be bringing in as a relationship? How many kids do you want if you want to have kids? Do you want to travel as a couple? Like, what are the things that you want to do? And once you start understanding what you want that relationship to really look like, and stop trying to live like the Joneses or, oh, the Americans, they live like this in these houses, that shit don't matter. I'm telling you from first-hand knowledge, I was living the American dream. I had a nice 4-bedroom house. We had a jacuzzi, a sauna out there, nice big yard, big gazebo, nice barbecue grill. Had a 2-car garage and a 4-car carport, a little outdoor shed for storage. We had all of that. Had 2 cars, and guess what? I woke up. We both woke up, and it was our fucking nightmare because we was chasing the dream that someone else told us that we had to do. It was until we sold all of that, went broke, and left the United States and started traveling, we started living fun and having life. Like, we lived life on our terms. And think about it, live life on your terms. So be honest about what you want in a relationship. So many people say, oh, they just want to get married and have kids and have a house. But then it's like, do you want to travel? Oh, of course. But you're not going to be able to travel that much if you have a bunch of kids. Like, unless you're making enough money. So at what time frame do you want to have kids? Like, we have to stop letting life happen to us and plan and organize our life the way we want. And that's how relationships really work. And really look at successful relationships. Anybody in a successful relationship or had a successful relationship, they're going to tell you it wasn't just rainbows and roses all the days. There's times where you don't like each other. There's times where you don't speak to each other. There's times where you're just like, oh man, this person watching this again. I remember, like, it's funny now, but like, it used to annoy me sometimes because Cece would always try to force me to watch Grey's Anatomy. Now, I made it through, I think, the first 5 seasons, which is a lot for me. And I think it's like 18, 19, 20 seasons or something. Like, this show ain't gonna ever end. Now, mind you, what she wouldn't help me with is like, hey, let's watch 3 shows, and then maybe we'll watch 3 shows in 2 more days. No, we watching hour after hour after hour. I mean, I think one day we stayed up like 27 hours watching Grey's Anatomy. Then she was like, oh, you sleep, we'll stop. And I was like, thank you. And there was things that I did, like especially when I used to watch my animes in Japanese or Korean. She did not like that stuff. And it was cool with that. There was days we had disagreements. There were days, you know, there's just days you annoy each other. Like when you're in someone's presence 24/7, like there's just gonna be some annoyances that come out. And I know there's plenty of times I annoyed her, and it's okay because I loved her. Even during those annoying days, even during those days where we so-called mad at each other, not talking, I would still cook lunch. We would still sit and eat lunch as a family. Like those are the things that matter in a relationship. Those moments that you have, even when you don't like each other, you're still able to be civil and come together like two grown adults that really do love each other. Because this fake Disney fairy tale, image of love, like, oh, Prince Charming is gonna come and just sweep me off my feet. Oh, he's gonna accept me for who I am. That's not real, man. That is not real. We do not accept people for who they are. You have to show up and be the best version of you. And like, really think about this, and I'm gonna break this down for both men and women. As a woman, if a guy is coming up to you, dirty clothes, look all disheveled, look like he may have not showered in a couple of days, hygiene just look bad, are you gonna give him the time of day? I hope not. And as a man, if a woman, it's like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if a woman is just looking like she just got out of bed, walking around in house shoes, bonnets on, and don't even look like she took a shower or something, are you going to give her the time of day? Because if you're a business professional, someone who's working out here hustling, getting that money, you're going to say no. And the reason why is because we do not accept people for who they are. We have to put our best foot forward. No one's going to accept you for who you are. I mean, even me, like, there's days I'm sad, days I'm depressed. Like, just give you an example, like I talked about doing the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Man, I messed up my whole left rib cage. That muscle was just hurting. Could barely walk yesterday. So I had to go get a massage gun, and I've been massaging it. Then I hit the trainer up today. I was like, hey man, what's some stretches I can do? And you know what he told me? He told me the realest shit. He's like, quit being a bitch. And I was like, you know what? I needed to hear that. And like, that's true. Like, people don't, we live in this fake world now. This fake political correct where everybody can't hurt your feelings. People can't tell you the truth. People are comfortable being lied to instead of being honest with each other. And this is why relationships don't work. People keep trying to say, oh, this is what I want. Oh yeah, I want this. And they don't want that. And it's okay not to want what the next person wants. This is your life. And if you want to have your life and share it with someone, you need to make sure y'all can meld it together. Because if not, you're just going to end up divorced, losing half your money. And then it's like, what for? So you can just throw that money to the government? It's not a win-win for either party. The only person that wins from it is the government and the court systems. So like, let's really start rethinking how we look at relationships. And let's start defining these gender roles at an energetic level instead of at a gender level. Because if we start doing that, we'll start seeing how the relationships come in sync and harmony. Because where one person falls short, the other one will always pick them up, and vice versa. So I hope you got some value from this. Hit the like button, share this with someone who could use this, and I'll see you tomorrow.